To be with his lover, he used a drug developed by his own company to poison his wealthy wife, engineered so that the autopsy would show nothing but sudden cardiac arrest. He watched her drink it down without a second thought and almost couldn't contain his satisfaction. She was gone by that night. While he and his lover were already calculating how to inherit her fortune, the police called to inform him that his wife's body had vanished from the morgue. He rushed over in a panic. The detective told him someone had disabled the surveillance system and cut the power beforehand. The body had almost certainly been taken. More disturbing still, the security guard on duty swore he had seen Sophia, dead Sophia, standing in the elevator. The moment he reported it, he was knocked unconscious. The forensic examiner's next words made him sweat through his collar. Because no autopsy had been performed yet, the examiner said, there was a real possibility Sophia had catalepsy, what people commonly call a death trance. She might have experienced only cardiac arrest and entered a state of suspended animation. She could have come to on her own inside the morgue. Those words landed like a hammer blow. All he could think about was his wife knowing she had been poisoned. He couldn't sit still. Cold sweat soaked through his clothes. The building lights went out. Officers scattered to investigate. He used the confusion to slip into the morgue, and found the drug he had used to poison her sitting inside an open steel cabinet. He shoved it into his pocket and nearly collided with a returning officer on his way back. The detective's eyes moved immediately to the pried open locker and the missing phone, then to him. He forced himself to cooperate and emptied his pockets, hoping to bluff his way through. The detective searched him anyway. When the vial was found, he said he had picked it up off the floor. The detective recognized the logo on the bottle immediately, his company's mark. What was it for? He stumbled through a vague answer about medical toxins, details unknown. He could see from the detective's expression that he had become the primary suspect. He excused himself to the bathroom, splashed cold water on his face, and looked up into the mirror, to find a white envelope sitting on the windowsill. Inside was a private endearment, something only he and his lover had ever exchanged between themselves. Had Sophia been there that night? Had she heard? He tore the note into pieces and flushed it. The toilet broke. An officer knocked and called him out for new developments. He reached into the bowl with his hands and retrieved every fragment, then swallowed them. He could leave no evidence. He was now almost certain his wife was somewhere watching him. The detective took him to the server room. A large hole had been knocked through the wall, signs of recent activity inside. They believed whoever took the body had used this route to exit. He was convinced Sophia had arranged all of it. The fear was driving him toward the edge. He pushed to be released and sent home. The elevator shuddered when they entered it, and when the doors opened again, the corridor was flooded. A sprinkler malfunction had shorted the electrics. They took the stairs. He slipped into a side room and called Sarah. Had she told anyone about their relationship? She was certain she hadn't. Then his hand closed around something on the surface nearby, a bracelet with Sarah's name on it. He called out to Sarah to be careful. The lights came back on. He ended the call and deleted the record. He was locked in a room adjacent to the morgue. He was deteriorating from the inside. Then he saw it, the wine glass with the poison, sitting on the windowsill. He jolted awake. His clothes were drenched. The sill was empty. From the next room came a familiar ringtone. He made himself go in. It was coming from inside a body bag. He answered the incoming call, his wife's number. The other end disconnected immediately. He checked the name on the bag. It was his psychiatrist. Dead. How? He called Sarah and asked her to look into someone called Augu. An officer came and took him away before he could finish the sentence. When can I go home? The detective's answer was cold. Asterisk, you won't be going home. We have sufficient evidence. You poisoned your wife and stole her body to prevent an autopsy. The drug found in your pocket tests positive for a compound that induces cardiac arrest. He was furious and terrified in equal measure. He had poisoned her, yes, but he had not taken the body. He insisted on it with everything he had. The detective told him to stop. Officers had already gone to verify things with Augu. That name stopped him cold. Wasn't that the man in the morgue? And he had been a private investigator. His wife had suspected him all along. He brought the detective to the morgue and said Augu was dead, but there was no longer any record of that name in the register. He couldn't make sense of any of it. He excused himself to the bathroom again and called Sarah. He told her they had both been exposed. Sarah was more panicked than he was. She told him a USB drive had appeared outside her door, filled with photographs of their dates together and a recording of him plotting to poison Sophia. He told her to run. His wife might come after her. He would find her the moment he was released. Sarah said she thought she was being followed, and then her scream came through the phone before the line went dead. He completely lost control, throwing himself toward the exit to get to Sarah. The officers held him back. He fought them. The detective put him on the floor. In the interrogation room he was out of his mind with urgency. Only the detective could help Sarah now. He had no choice. He confessed everything, the affair, the plot, the poisoning. His wife hadn't died, so at worst it was attempted murder. Getting Sarah out came first. Then the detective's next words dropped the temperature in the room entirely. Officers had searched his home and found floor plans of the building. In the trunk of his car, a shovel and a full set of tools for digging. The evidence pointed directly at him as the one who had taken the body. He insisted it was all his wife's doing, that the private private investigator had helped her stage the entire thing against him. Find Sarah and everything would become clear. What happened next destroyed the last thing he was holding on to. Officers reported that Sarah's rental apartment had been vacant for a year. No sign anyone had ever lived there. Her supposed employer had no record of anyone by that name. Sarah did not exist. Then the detective told him they had found his wife's body on the hillside behind the property. He stared at the figure on the stretcher and went blank. The officers who had gone to find Sarah reported back. Her rented room had been vacant for a year. No trace of occupancy. Her supposed employer had no record of anyone by that name. Sarah had never existed. He knocked the detective down and ran into the trees. He hadn't gone far when his legs gave out. His heart felt like it was tearing itself apart. He hit the ground. The detective stood over him, looked at his watch, began counting down. Then he explained. 10 years ago, the man had struck the detective's family with his car. He had started to get out. His wife had told him to drive away. Because he did, the detective's wife missed the critical window for treatment. She died. The detective had spent 10 years finding him. Sarah was his daughter. She had approached him deliberately, cultivated the relationship, and guided him step by step toward poisoning his wife. The disappearing body, the strange events at the station, the drug vial and the love note, Sarah's apparent disappearance, even the poison dissolved in the water he had been drinking, all of it had been the detective and his daughter, building the trap from the beginning. The detective had never intended to put him in prison. He wanted him to experience exactly what his wife had experienced, despair, and a slow death with no one coming. He died of cardiac arrest in the cold among the trees, the same way he had killed his wife. He had believed he had planned the perfect murder. What he hadn't understood was that from the moment he conceived of it, he had already stepped into a trap built specifically for him.